Hello, my name is Shruti. I'm a student of political science at Kamla Nehru College. When I was thinking about making this showcase and what I wanted to talk about, I remember feeling really anxious about the fact that this video is going to be on the internet. And anybody from my friends, family, and total strangers on the internet are going to be able to see this video, right? And obviously, there's some sort of like inherent anxiety attached to putting yourself out there and being vulnerable in front of people, right? But a larger anxiety came from the fact that the internet has become like a widely inhospitable and cold place where there seems to be no room for mistakes or no room for error anymore, because anything or everything that you do can be branded as cringe. And as you may have guessed from the title of this video, this is going to be what I will be talking about, the rise of cringe culture within the last past decade or so on the internet, and how it has led to like some sort of constructed authenticity in the present age. So I'll be dividing this video into three parts. First, I'll be talking about what exactly is cringe culture and what makes us cringe in the first place. Then I'll be talking about how it has evolved within the last decade or so, and how it has melted into like from online etiquettes and decorum to like an everyday sort of rules which have no sort of which now have no barriers within it anymore, that whatever is the decorum online has also become the dictum for offline real life interactions. And finally, I'm going to be talking about how this impacts a person's self-worth and how they view themselves as well as their own authenticity. So the cringe culture, or the subculture of cringe that came to exist within the internet, started from YouTube or Reddit forums, where they were like dedicated compilation videos, and there were just videos of people who had the misfortune of being recorded or recording themselves doing something which fell outside of the accepted social norms. And this is something that we'll come back to later. But the response of the people watching this video elicited some sort of embarrassment or shame within those watching it. So you feel like a physical response of like recoiling at what you're watching, or just a general sense of like feeling icky at whatever you were watching, right? And all of this came from the fact that you were feeling like some sort of second-hand embarrassment on the behalf of that person. Now it's important to note that this second-hand embarrassment is something that was rooted in the empathy that we were able to feel for this person who was going through something, right? So our experience of second-hand embarrassment is related to our empathy, or like is related to our ability to empathize with the embarrassment or the shame that person might be feeling in those videos. Like, research has shown that parts of our brain which are responsible for feeling pain or shame, they light up when we watch these videos which might lead us to cringe. So like there's some sort of like a social pain that we feel while watching someone go through that situation. So the ability to feel for others requires us to imagine how they might be feeling or they might be thinking. But within the past decade or so, this ability to empathize for others and thus cringing has been replaced by the feeling of disgust. For example, any interaction that we might have online or anything that we feel is embarrassing doesn't make us empathize for the person anymore. It makes us feel disgusted. It makes us feel that the other person is uncool, or makes us feel that how can this person even do something knowing that this is embarrassing or cringeworthy. So with the advent of social media and apps like Twitter, Instagram, and even messaging apps like WhatsApp, most of our offline interactions have moved online. So the lines between internet etiquette and like offline real life etiquettes have blurred substantially. So any interactions that we have with our friends has also become digitalized in the form of like WhatsApp groups or like Instagram posts or like any discourse that we used to have moved to Twitter and things like that. So the idea of internet etiquette, or the idea of being relevant on the internet, stems from like a certain place where you have to always be prepared or polished, or you always have to be composed. There needs to be some sort of like a strict compliance to like the shifting trends and which anything that is being followed at the moment. So for example, in 2023, I can't be seen following or like sharing something that was um, that was a trend in 2018. That's uncool. You can't do that anymore. So there's so there's no room for you to do anything that's earnest or vulnerable in these online spaces. There has to be some sort of like a cool nonchalance while you're doing anything. So the only way we stomach earnestness or anything unprepared on the internet now is through comic relief or irony or mockery. And the problem with this whole idea is that we don't have a clear definition of what online cringe is, because it can range from anything from over the enthusiasm, under enthusiasm, being too talkative, being too shy, posting too much, posting too little, or listening to an artist which is socially considered to be uncool, too mainstream, too obscure, things like that. Anything that falls out of the acceptable range of emotions will fall in the category of cringe. And anything that comes with like this self-aware sort of coolness or irony attached to it will be considered acceptable on the internet. With the blurring lines between offline and online, all of these ideas and all of these etiquettes have now become a part of day-to-day interactions. That means that the way we were behaving online is now the way we behave offline in our most intimate and even private relationships. So anything that was considered cringe on the internet is now considered cringe in real life. So that no room for earnestness on the internet has also unfortunately translated to no room for earnestness in real life interactions. So this leads me to my final idea about how this has impacted one's self-concept. So the very basic instinct to evade judgment or being labeled cringe has led to a growth in some sort of like a self-censorship and constructive an image of authenticity as opposed to actual authenticity. For example, Spotify releases like a list of your statistics of the past year at the end of every year. And before that, I know people who work relentlessly to fix their stats, which means that they play music which is considered socially cool and which might not be what they actually like, so that their stats show a false image of what they were listening to, and they can like further share it on social media or like share it with their friends. So this idea of constructing authenticity for themselves, which might not even be a reflection of their own selves, has something that has become a lot more prevalent because of the harsh judgment that has now become the norm in our everyday reality. Even within our relationships, the idea that the other person might consider us to be cringe because we text them too much, we use too many exclamation points, we show them that we care too much, we might be branded as cringe, or we might be branded as a simp, which is a misogynistic term mainly used to describe men for and consider them for being too soft or to being too attentive. All of these things reflect to a larger trend where we believe that it's better to hide behind a constructed self rather to be vulnerable and genuine. I think it's important that we realize that humanity, or like the experience of being a human, cannot be scripted. Our interactions, our behaviors, our likes and dislikes, all of it cannot be polished and molded for an audience. Neither can disgust become a metric to judge inherent value of a person. We are allowed to exist, we are allowed to take up space and be unembarrassed by the way we choose to do it. Thank you.